Hello and welcome to this very special broadcast. Every time we do a broadcast on cricket, which obviously sells in this country and is the sport that is maximum followed, gives us traction in the media. I get a lot of these messages on Twitter, on WhatsApp, on social media platforms that Buriala, why don't you do some stuff on football? Why are you not doing something on the ISL? Can't be a better day. Can't be a better day. Exactly 30 minutes from now, it is Indian football's marquee clash, the USP clash. Had it been one with crowds in Calcutta at this point in time, my two panelists and I, we would be at the Vivekananda Juva Bharati Kridangan in a very different state. We wouldn't be able even be able to talk to you. That's what the derby does to us. I've been watching since I was 3 years old, so 41 years of derby watching, and things haven't changed. Obviously, at that point, I didn't understand, but as I grew up, Mohun Bagan became part of life. And the other person who I want to introduce to you, one of India's leading journalists, author, writer, friend, most importantly for my audience today, fellow Mohun Bagan supporter, someone very dear to my heart because of that. He will do a running commentary on his Facebook page if you see, every time Mohun Bagan does something, Indrajit Hajra. And obviously there's Rajarshi Gupta who will be in a very bad position by the time this broadcast ends, because for some reason, I don't know why, he's chosen to support SC East Bengal. Rajarshi, you're in a bad position. They've got 17 points. This Amra Ora debate, anyone who follows Bengali will know. They've got 17 points to our 17 games. So in the first question to you, what does this derby mean to you? But before I go to that, we've got to take a sponsor video and then I'll come to Indy with that question.
Sure.
क्या आप भी किसी अपने सपने मेरे तुम्हारे टीम 11 पे टीम बना रहे हो और बच्चों के साथ खेल रहे हो? हमारे साथ खेलोगे? हाउस पे खेलो लेजेंड्स के साथ, हमें हराओ और जीतो डबल कैश. Log on to houseit.com and win real cash.
Yes, indeed. Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, what does this mean to you and has meant over the years?
See, as much as I am sort of not always vocal about saying it, I think any Mohun Bagan supporter needs East Bengal to feed off. I mean, like every Sherlock Holmes needs his Mycroft, every Ravon needs his Sri Ram Chandra, and every Indrajit needs his Lakhon. I think without East Bengal, victories are wins, but it doesn't have that extra punch. In a way, it's become easier over the last few decades to explain to people who are not into the Calcutta Derby what exactly it is by giving other examples like Man City, Man United, and Barcelona, Real. But there is something intrinsically, I would say, beautifully violent about this clash. We live off each other, and at the same time, obviously, as you will see in half an hour or 25 minutes, we don't get pretty when we sit with each other. But the derby is incredible, especially at the stadiums. But these days, and I haven't been to a derby during a stadium during the derby for a while now. So in a way, I've got a level playing field now with the rest of football watchers. But it's a different cup of a different cup of cha.
Okay, Rajarshi, have you experienced this same kind of emotion or passion? I will go to India and ask him about his experiences of being in a stadium to watch a Mohun Bagan East Bengal match. And frankly, it is Mohun Bagan East Bengal. However much there is ATK Mohun Bagan East Bengal, and by the way, both of us support that. We support investment. We know it is important, and we are making that point. Having said that, these semantics don't matter. Whether it is ATK Mohun Bagan or SC East Bengal, it is Mohun Bagan East Bengal. So, Rajarshi, your first take on this particular game.
Boria, you said, why I would be supporting East Bengal in this current situation. When I was 7 years old, I was talking to my mama about East Bengal Mohun Bagan. I was just beginning to understand the sport, and I just said, maybe I'll follow Mohun Bagan someday. They just asked me a question at home, and my mama said this in Bengali. "Ei cheleta ki obostha?" I think, what is wrong with this guy? is he going to support Mohan Bagan when he goes to Salt Lake? Unfortunately for me, when I grew up and I was studying in college in Jadavpur University, I went in 2005 and 2006 back to back years. I watched both those games, and if I memory serves me right, at the Calcutta Football League, East Bengal lost both those games. That was the only time I went for both rounds at Salt Lake Stadium. Over the years, I did see some East Bengal victories, but yes, that passion, that and that whole bonhomie that exists between Bengali friends outside of Salt Lake Stadium when you're going to watch that derby, it's something else. And we've got into several clashes. We've got into several clashes, not physical not fisticuffs, but there have been some really strong banter. Now that I look back at those days, they're fun. This whole,
So,
if I'm allowed
so,
to,
so
yeah,
Rajoshi, the thing that you need to do,
yeah.
before I go to Indy, you are getting married. Have you asked your wife if she a Mohun Bagan supporter or not? I mean, or it is because if she's from the other club, believe me, you had it. You must ask your wife which club she supports. Ask that question. Indy, your experience of an East Bengal Mohun Bagan match inside the ground, because
See,
I mean,
yeah.
please, yeah.
In fact, there were two occasions where I think Rajeshri mentioned not, things getting wild, but not having to go into fisticuffs. I think this was while I was still in living in Kolkata. I live in Delhi now, but it was it was a derby in which I happened to go with friends of not exactly Mohun Bagan or East Bengal. I think they were not much invested in either team, but I had gone with them because they were providing me with the transport and everything. And we were sitting in the East Bengal stands. I know for a fact that when Bagan scored, I don't remember the exact match it was, but when Bagan had scored, I think it was a draw. But I did get into a fisticuff. I won't go into details, but I did go in, and I was not pleasantly. The end product wasn't very happy for me, but the scoreline uh, was kind of a draw. But so things can get violent. But some of my best friends are East Bengal supporters, and that's the joy, as I explained earlier. Without riling them up, I would say 70% of the fun is not there.
Correct. I will actually say exactly the same. I mean, 1997 when we had the diamond system, and Amol Datta was coach. We were sort of scoring 4 or 5 goals every game, and then that particular match, Baichung had scored a hat trick against us, and I was sitting in the East Bengal stand, and I've been slapped by my mother several times when I was growing up, but that slap here when East Bengal scored, and obviously I did not celebrate. I was sitting quietly like this, and the power that I got here, obviously I fled from there. Otherwise, I would be beaten up. And then one time in my car, I mean, Mohun Bagan had lost, and the car was trying to get out of the stadium. So they jumped on the car bonnet. They saw me literally in tears, held me like this, and said, "Ore ki holo re?" Bole, they started kissing me on both my cheeks, saying, I mean, so these are things which are part of growing up.
Yeah.
Indeed, before I go to Rajeshi, do you think this has lost a bit of zing? Or, I mean, even last year, the year before, when these two clubs play, it is not about the standard of football. It is not about what you see with the La Liga or EPL or whatever it is. It is something different that gets all of us together.
See, I think there are two sides to it. One is the earlier old style. There were a lot of sort of ritualistic factors which were involved. For instance, the classic Ghoti Bangal divide, Ghotis being Mohun Bagan and East Bengal being Bangals. So that seems to have either become kind of very diluted or doesn't work that much beyond. I think my generation also doesn't kind of. Again, I have a lot of Bangal friends who are Mohun Bagan fans. My wife is a Bangal, but she's a Mohun Bagan fan. I looked up her files before I got married, so obviously to answer your earlier conversation. But at the same time, I think there is a flip side to it because there's a lot of youngsters who don't come with that baggage. I mean, I'll be very honest with you. Every time I hear a conversation where the logic for Mohun Bagan being a great club or a good club or a whatever club is 1911. Now that's obviously wonderful, and obviously it's historically true, and obviously it is part of the heritage. And but I think there's a lot of unnecessary over investment coming into that legend without actually people enjoying the actual, not only the club but also the actual derby itself. Again, I mean, this is irrespective of the quality of football. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. But the, the clash of the titans, as it were, the titans might be wearing, as they say in Bengali, half pants, but nonetheless, titans. So so on the it's a two-way street. I mean, you don't have that old sort of extra sort of almost atavistic sort of following based on various other things which don't matter that much anymore. And at the same time, you have a new bunch of people. I think in that sense, the ISL will help to get a new crop of people on board for both East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. The better ones obviously coming to Mohun Bagan, I would assume.
Okay. Rajeshi, when I watch this particular game, and today, for example, I would have loved to be on commentary because I do ISL commentary. But frankly, this one, I mean, if I'm commentating, I need to be objective at a certain level. I can't be. When we are playing East Bengal, I mean, I realize this because when the first leg of the derby, and I wasn't objective. I wasn't. I mean, and I know
Yeah.
I was partisan to Mohun Bagan, and I can't help that. So tell me,
Hmm.
I mean, the same question to if you sort of tell me as a sports journalist, can you take a dispassionate view of this particular game? Is it about standard? Is it about Ilish Chingdi? Is it about Ghotimal? Is it about what? Because this is in our blood, this
Right.
emotion, and people are writing in. We've got huge number of comments already. Some Krishna is saying there was one game in the late 70s when there was a big delay in the match as both teams were superstitious on who entered the ground first. Maybe it was 1979. Pradeep Rai is writing in East Bengal fans are more passionate, Mohun Bagan are more loyal to the club. Several comments already coming. What, according to you, makes this game still that extra special game in our football? In our sport,
There is
rather.
that zinc. There is a zinc, Boria. I mean, look, like you said, you cannot always be dispassionate when you're covering or commentating on a Mohun Bagan East Bengal game. I've been thinking of this game for the last 3 or 4 days. Obviously, look, take the points table out of the equation for me. I mean, looking at it from an East Bengal as an East Bengal supporter, given what happened a few months back, Mohun Bagan won. But you look for that straw to hang on with, right? When you're looking at this game, I wouldn't say very objectively because I'm saying that okay, you know what, East Bengal have shown some improvement. Fine, they're what, second last or third last from the bottom. Mohun Bagan top of the table, what, 18 or 19 points separating these two teams. But sort of, I think that objectivity, you lose that objectivity when you're just looking at that match apart from the points table, right? How many tournaments, Boria, you, Indy, me, myself, would look at crucial games and think, okay, you know what, forget the points table. Let's just hope that this team wins. So yes, in that sense, that objectivity, you tend to lose a little sense of objectivity. But I think it's fine, Boria. Before journalists, we are fans, we are passionate fans, and we want, and it is so much about nostalgia as well, right? I have been wanting to go to watch a derby for the longest time. The first time that I could do it was when I was a student in Calcutta. I managed to do it for 2 successive years, but I don't have very many happy memories of that. I remember I was crestfallen, especially because the second time that East Bengal lost, I could not watch that game in January. I think that was an IFA game, and East Bengal had defeated Mohun Bagan 4-1, and I missed that match because I was home in Jamshedpur, so I could not go watch it. So many memories, and you do tend to lose that objectivity.
Indeed, Rajarshi mentioned the word memory, and for both of us, a derby is also about storytelling, about
Absolutely.
the anecdotes that have sort of over the years been part of our. I mean, we are not. This is not a preview show. We are not talking Mike versus
Yeah.
Krishna that
Yeah.
you can go and check on a host broadcast on any channel. We are trying to understand this particular clash. Indy, your favorite stories of Mohun Bagan East Bengal?
Well, I would definitely think that. I mean, I had gone for which was the I League in which I think the last minute goal that we but sorry, I keep saying we. So there goes objectivity. That Mohun Bagan won against Bengaluru SC. I think it was.
Belorazak, 86th minute.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so I was in Bangalore. I was not with anybody I knew. I'm not. I as you know, the paper that I work for, it has a sports page, but we usually get people like experts like Boria to write for us. But I was there again to also go into the talk about subjectivity and objectivity. I was there to write copy, but I had told my colleague, I think that if Mohun Bagan loses, you write the copy. If Mohun Bagan wins, I'll write the copy. So that was a kind of deal I had made. It's a very luxurious situation, I must say, for anybody. But we obviously sort of made it through. And I think there was an aftermatch, and I think there was a gentleman younger than me, so can't be a very gentleman, who I think I might have sort of shown affection more than I would show a stranger, just because he was wearing a Bagan putti and stuff. And we went for the Bagan after party in the hotel, in which I had the good fortune of seeing, Sonny Norde was there, and uh, there were some other people, and we had kosha mangsha and bhat, which obviously the club, the supporter, the club Bengaluru, which has traveled to Bengaluru, had prepared for us, and I think that was one of the finest post-victory parties I've ever attended, regardless of sport. And let me just add that Sonny Norde was very, very happy that evening, in all senses of the word.
Okay. Shomo Chakraborty is writing that it's slightly strange that three Bengalis are on the show, but they're speaking in English. Shomo, unfortunately, ইংরেজিতে কথা বলছি তার কারণ এটা একটা ইংরেজি প্ল্যাটফর্ম, মানে স্পোর্টস স্টুডিওতে ইংরেজিতে কথা বলতে হবে, মানে
আমি সংস্কৃততেও বলতে পারি, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই।
সবেতে বলতে পারি, জানেন তো, কিন্তু পয়েন্টটা কি জানেন, মানে আমাদেরকে তো এটা একটা প্রচেষ্টাও যে বাকি ভাষার লোকজনও যাতে আমাদের শোনে। বাংলাতে শুধু নয়, ইংরেজিতে বলছি, যেটা ও বললো, সংস্কৃত, হিন্দি, সবেতে আপনি শুনতে চান শুনতে পারেন, বাট ওই মানে ইংরেজিতে যদি মোহাম্মদ ইস্ট বেঙ্গল নিয়ে একটু কথা হয়, জিনিসটা আরেকটু জমে, তাহলে খারাপ কি? একটা প্রশ্ন এসছে রাজস্বী, ওয়ান কোয়েশ্চেন. Robbie Fowler has been disrespectful to India. He is bad news. I mean, somebody obviously who's a bitter East Bengal supporter is writing this. Okay. Now I have to tell you this. This has to be in Bangla. After a particular game, and he's, a coach, he had asked for the resignation of a particular official. The kind of so this coach, his resignation had been asked for. The coach's resignation. So this guy tells me, "Amar resignation cheyechi. Have you heard this?" So I'm like, "Yes." He said, "What do you think about it?" I said, "No, I mean, ignore it. Why do you have to bother?" So this guy says, "No." I mean, and that's what this derby is all about. It's about characters. So he calls an official and he says, "Have you heard? So and so has asked for my resignation." So he says, "Yes, but ignore." Now these are the exact words. He said, "So and so," he says his name, "মল আর মূত্র ছাড়া কোনো কিছু ত্যাগ করে না, পদত্যাগ অনেক দূরের কথা।" বস, এটা আমি ইংরেজিতে বলতে পারবো না।
এটা ইংরেজিতে না বলাই ভালো।
হ্যাঁ, মানে this is the, I mean, I have picked up my slang in Mohun Bagan East Bengal games. It's part of our growing up. Rajoshi, where will you locate this? You have watched a lot of words. Whether he mentioned Manchester United, Real Madrid, these, after satellite TV, we all watch these leagues. Where is East Bengal Mohun Bagan for you?
I think it's so traditional, isn't it, Boria? I mean, okay, look, I grew up, talking of English football, I grew up being a Manchester United fan. And you know why? Because I liked David Beckham up until I was growing up. And then I realized, okay, I shouldn't be saying this on air or live on the live YouTube chat, but then I realized I don't have that fascination for Manchester United because they were, after a few years, I thought they were a little overhyped, and that's when I started to understand football, and my loyalties changed as well. What East Bengal Mohun Bagan, you asked me, why am I still going with East Bengal? It's been a crazy bad season for us. It's, in all fairness, it has been now the journalism we speaking. But it's, I remember those words from my uncle, and my dad, he's not that passionate a football supporter, but my mama, my granddad, my nanaji, they looked at me like, I was, it was some form of betrayal for a 6 or 7 year old to say that, to even utter the words Mohan Bagan. And it's been that way. And when I went to college and I started understanding the dynamics of the Bengal Ghoti divide and how much that mattered, so that sort of builds up as a genesis. So I don't see any other world sport where a divide between in the same community can drive football passion so high, and the history behind it. I mean, obviously, Poria, you've done a lot of work around that period, around that era, but I don't see any other sport in any other part of the world where a divide comes in through a community, and then that drives passion and fire the way an East Bengal Mohun Bagan rivalry does. Even for the Manchester derby, I'm sure the
Okay.
dynamics are very different.
Indeed, two questions to you. One, we all have sort of associated, Chingri and Ilish with a particular this game. Was it part of your household? I mean, in my house, for example, if we lost, we wouldn't even. It would be so sad that wouldn't even eat a meal. I mean, stuff like that would happen. Would
Oh,
you eat
absolutely.
chingri if it happened? Second question: you have been a passionate follower of football, whether it's Arsenal, the way you sort of mention and celebrate, and in terms of pure enjoyment, at the end of the day, sport is also at one level pure. Where will you keep this one? I mean, watching a Mohun Bagan East Bengal, where is it in your schema?
I'll answer the first one first, which is absolutely. I mean, the point is, growing up, especially both my mom's side and my father's side, hardcore Baganis. And essentially, our diet during derbies, especially, was very dependent on the scoreline. Uh, and this was non-negotiable. But to be fair, when we did lose, I didn't have much of an appetite anyway, which is why I am probably not going to. I'm not going to have any meal regardless of the scoreline tonight, because that's the superstition I have until. To answer your second question, which is
The
there's
enjoyment
a
question.
yeah. So I'll answer that with a formulation that a lot of my friends ask me. I have a kind of a loyal. I'm a supporter of three clubs essentially. I have three football entities. Let's put it that way. Uh, in the order of things, which is Mohun Bagan AC, your Argentina and Arsenal. Now, there are various reasons for that. I mean, there's not a single format. I mean, Arsenal, I fell in love with when I saw Thierry Henry actually play for France, and then I mean, it was the Invincibles that made me fall in love with Arsenal. And Argentina, we all have the same reason, more or less, 86. Um, but the question that I think what a lot of people get completely flummoxed when I say that I put Bagan as my top one. I mean, so they think it's some very deep-rooted sub-national thing, but it is in a way a sense of belonging. And if you look at it in concentric circles, I mean, that's my first sort of port of call, Mohun Bagan, and then it kind of radiates outside. And also, I mean, unlike in politics, where especially these days when you hear of people getting tired and feeling dombondo, trapped, and then they switch parties. We've Mohan Bagan has gone through terrible seasons, obviously, as has Arsenal, which is still. But as I keep saying, a club or a team that you support, it's like an uncle. He might be drunk and sitting in a corner, but you don't abandon him for another guy who's passing by, who's like a good-looking dude, just because your mama is not going through a good phase. You stick to it for life. So Mohan Bagan is my favorite uncle, and then the other two obviously come.
Indrajit Hajra is one of India's leading journalists. I mean, he works for Economic Times and is the op-ed page editor and the sports page editor. Now, I was telling Indy this 2 days back, Indy, can we do a show? And I want to celebrate this. And he was like, how will I get? I said, Shafta, 7 o'clock, we've got to do this. He said, give me some time. I need to go to the edit meet and then tell you. Because I have to get away. I have to cut. And you know what? He's actually gotten away. He's gone home to be part of the show. And this was one of his excuses that I'll go and watch. This is what it is about. I didn't comment.
See, the nation can hold for 90 minutes, no?
Of course. Everything can. I mean, there's no question, Rajesh. So that's what it is about, this particular. Closing comments, because within 4 minutes the game will start.
Yeah.
Closing comments. Rajesh, first to you. Yes, forget the result. I mean, yes, this season is all about East Bengal's debut season, several reasons, whatever it is. If you think East Bengal wins today, is it about like India, Pakistan? Everything's forgotten. Mohun Bagan might have won the ISL, but we have beaten you, job done. Is that one of the sentiments?
Look, I wouldn't be too happy with two defeats this season. Not in the first season in the first ISL season where the Kolkata derby is happening. Win this one, doesn't matter. You're obviously not going to finish last or second last, so you more or less there. As long as you don't finish last and you beat Mohun Bagan, everything else is forgotten. Next season, and look, there's been a lot of things. The pandemic, they did not have time to train, but I'm happy with the gradual improvement, and it will be an icing on the cake. It will be an icing on the cake. Just win this one, and then the rest is all forgotten.
Indeed, the same question, but from the other side. I mean, we are leading the table, Mumbai City FC, etc. Trisha Ghoshal, who's our producer, writes to me, nothing matters if we defeat Mohun Bagan. Okay, Trisha, point taken. So, Indy, from the other standpoint, we are leading AFC Champions League. All of that is there. But if we don't win today, is it going to be the same victory 10 days later when we make the playoffs and perhaps win the tournament?
Let's put it this way. If we don't win today, I will pretend that it doesn't matter.
Got it. Excellent. So now your prediction, you think we are winning? The football fan in you? East Bengal has a better forward line. Even Narayan and people have started playing well.
I actually think East Bengal will win today by 1 goal, but that's my cerebrum. See, it's also insurance policy that it's a weird mind that I have. So I think the scoreline will be 0-1. I said think.
Okay. He thinks because must be that's another superstition. If he thinks that way, it's not going to happen and Mohun Bagan will win. And if that happens, follow Indrajit Hajra's Facebook posts. You will find. I mean, you will find incredible posts there. I mean, he will do that. He will do that, and that's what it's all about. As far as I'm concerned, I live 5 minutes from Mohun Bagan Lane. 5 minutes. So it's been part of my growing up. Will forever be. As I keep saying, there is one constant in human life. You can have a fallout with your girlfriend, with your wife. Change a girlfriend, change your wife, do whatever you want. You can change your political leanings. In India, it's very common. You can change, everything. You can become from science stream, go to a humanities stream. You can change your profession. The only thing you will not change is fandom. A Mohun Bagan fan at the age of 6 will die a Mohun Bagan fan at the age of 80. And that is what we celebrate in this particular game. It is about two passions, about an emotion that makes Indian football what it is. Time for the kickoff. Thanks for watching this particular show. And as we said, Indrajit Hajra's mind works in a different manner. So the scoreline, we will talk about it at the end of it. Thank you very much for watching.